Today's daf is Masechtas Nazir Daf Yudalid. So the top of Daf Yudalid is really the middle. The Gemara's middle middle shaila the Gemara has. The Gemara's middle going through Rava's suffix that Rava had. So let's just recap a little. Rava had a question. If somebody says is Makabal himself two Naziris. So the original question, the way Rava put it down, was that if somebody says Hareini Nazal Achar Esrim Yom, and he says also Me'achshav Meya Yom, it should be 100 days. So the question was, do you say that because he said the first Naziris he wants to only start after Esrim Yom, so you say that the Meya Yom don't start until the Esrim Yom Naziris of 30 days is complete? Or do you say that he starts the Esrim Yom now, he could start the Meya Yom even now, Me'achshav, and when it hits 20 days, he starts the Esrim Yom Naziris of Shloshim Yom, and then once that's up, after 30 days, he could continue on and finish up the 80 remaining days of the 100-day Kabbalah of Naziris. So the Gemara asks, why are you picking such an extreme case where Nazir Meruba was 100 days, Chap in a regular case where there's two regular Naziris, and he said the first one he wants to be Chal after Esrim Yom, and then he said again, V'Nazir Me'achshav, which is Stam Nazir Shloshim. So the Gemara said, Enochanami, you're right. Chada migu chada kami boili. Those are the last words on Daf Yud Gimel and Beis. So the Gemara is saying, Enochanami, you taka have the Shaila even by Nazir Me'ates, and the Gemara's Rava just started off on the next step, that I feel him Timtzaloyman Nazir Me'ates, maybe it would work, and would start counting. Let's say you would be pushed at the suffix Nazir Me'ates. Let's say you say we'd start counting 100 days right now, Ma'achshav, then the Shailas will be by Nazir Meruba, Naziris Meruba, in the case of Meya Yom. So Zakti Gemara on Papa Yudal Amar Aleph that Pshat is in Timtza Loimar Naziris Muetes. If you want to be pushed to suffix Naziris Muetes, and tell me that Kavan Asar Yomin Hudiyas, and since he's let's say he does the first 20 days of the first Naziris with Ma'achshav, and then after the Naziris of Esrim, those Shloshim Yom are up, he has 10 days remaining that he has to be Noyeg Naziris to Mashlam the first Naziris. So Melei Salak. So maybe he should not do those 10 days because he doesn't want to stop his Naziris and mashlim just 10 days Naziris. It's really not enough to make a Naziris. So I feel him to learn that he shouldn't do that, and that Naziris is not chal. About Vada, Zakti Gemara, Vadai, if he says Nazir Meya Yom, so maybe Chai Gavna, because came into Islay Tamni Yom, and since he would have 80 days remaining after the Esrim cycle of Naziris, Labasoiv Salkanle. So maybe that's enough to have Naziris, and it'll be different than maybe if it was a 30-day Naziris. Oiloi, what do you say? No, even in the case where the Naziris Ma'achshav is Meya Yom, we'll say that a person that does not want to be mafsik his Naziris in the middle, and Mustama, what he meant was to Mekabel his first Naziris first starting at Esrim Yom, and then after he hits day 50, then he'll start an additional 100 days. And Avada Ma'achshav is Lav Dafka. He didn't mean to say Ma'achshav. So Zak the Gemara, now the Gemara is going to be Moisef on the suffix. The Im Timtzah Loimar, and if you want to say that Chayli, that the Naziris of Meya Yom, let's say you want to go with the tzad that it's Chal Ma'achshav, it's Takachal from today, and then you'll stop it at the 20 days and do the other Naziris of 30 days. So clarity Gemara, Woe the Alacha, Amar Hareini Nazal Achar Esrim Yom. If he says a Stam Naziris after 20 days, and then he says after that, Ume'achshav Nazir Olam, it says, I want to be a Nazir forever. Mahu. So how would it be Noyeg Naziris? Mi choyla alei. Do you say that it's Chal Naziris Olam Me'achshav from right now? And after 20 days, what will be 20 days? 20 days he would stop his Naziris and count 30 days Naziris. And then he would continue on the rest of his life the Nazir Olam. Oi, what do you say? No, he doesn't want to be mafsik in his Nazirus Olam with another Nazirus, which is not similar to it. Because that's a 30-day Nazirus, this is being Nazir Olam. So therefore, Loi, the Nazirus Olam will not be Chama Achshav. Rather, he will not be knowing Nazirus at all for 20 days. And then after 20 days, he'll have the Nazirus of the 30 days of his Makabal, and then he'll be Megalech, bring a carbon. And only then he'll start as Nazirus Olam. Zok the Gemara weiter more. The Gemara is going to take the suffix a step further even now. Im timtzeloymar, if you want to say and be paished the suffix and say that hacha came in the efshel chule, since in this case where it's Makabal Nazirus Olam, he's not choishish to be mafsik in Nazirus. Why? Because came in the efshel chule. He could be shoyl he could be shoyl to a chacham on Nazirus that he's Makabal after of the Nazirus that he's Makabal for Esrim Yoim, and be oiker that Nazirus. So therefore, the Nazirus Olam is takachal right away today me'achshav. And if there's a tzad that he doesn't want to be mafsik his Nazirus Olam with the second Nazirus starting 20 days, then he'll let him just be shoyl on it. So Zok the Gemara, still you could declare Amar Hareini Nazir Shimshim La'ach Esrim Yoim. What happens if he says, I want to be a Nazir Shimshin? So really the other way around now. He's saying after 20 days I want to be a Nazir Shimshin. And then he says Me'achshav Nazir Stam. And from today he wants to be a Nazir Stam. So how would the Nazirus work then? Hacha, over here, he's Mekabel Nazir Shimshin after 20 days. La'ef Shalat Shulei. Cannot be shoyl on Nazir Shimshin. Because a Chacham can't be matin is Nazir Shimshin. So therefore you could declare Mi Chayla is a Nazirus of Shleishim Yom Bichal now, and after 20 days Nazir Shimshin Bichal. Eloi or Nazirus Stam would not be Chal from today, from now, because he doesn't want to be Makam on himself in Nazirus that he's going to have to stop after 20 days. And rather, 20 days, he'd rather not be knowing Nazirus at all. And after 20 days, we'll just start as Nazir Shimshin. Zok the Gemara weiter. The Gemara is going to take this a little weiter. Amar, K'Moshe b'Shiva ba'Adar. If a person says he wants to be like Moshe on the 7th day of Adar. What meaning? That on the 7th day of Adar, Moshe was born and he was nifter. So interesting shayla the Gemara has. The Gemara wants to know, what is the guy's kavanah when he says that? Does he mean to mekabel himself the zirus, just like by the patira of Moshe Rabbeinu, it says it was the sraba on a zirim, because they had tsar on the patira of Moshe Rabbeinu? So does he mean to say he wants to become a nazir, or does he mean to say that he wants to mekabel himself simcha like there was in the day Moshe Rabbeinu was born? The Radak brings that there's another sheet that holds that Moshe Rabbeinu was nifter on Zayin Shvat, Agav. In Pashas the Gemara in Kedushin Lamed Ches says that it was both the same day, the 7th day of Adar. Zok the Gemara weiter, Pshoit Minayu Kadmaisa, I could be poshet the first Shiloh that we had originally, which is a suffix of Rava. When somebody says Areini Nazil Achar Esrim Yoyim, and he says also Me'achshav Me'im Yoyim. So Zok the Gemara, you push that suffix that Moine Esrim, he's Moine Esrim to start the first Naziris of Achach Moine Shleishim, then he does that Naziris of Shleishim Yoyim, Achach Moine Shmeinim, in order to mashlim his first Naziris of Me'im. Okay, it's interesting. The Gemara just says that it's Paishet it. Pshoit Minayu Kamaisa. The Gemara does not bring any rayas or anything. The Gemara just says we're Paishet that suffix. Zok the Gemara weiter. So the Gemara is now going back on the case that we had in the Mishnah Daf Gimel. If somebody says Hareini Nazir Sheyili Ben, and he says Vin Nazir, and he started counting his own Naziris, and then in the middle he gave birth to his wife, gave birth to his son. So he left his own Naziris and started the Naziris that he was Makabel when his son's born, like the Mishnah said to do. So what happened if Nitma bimei benoi? If he became Tamei in the middle of the Naziris of his son. So Rabbi Yochanan Amar Soiser, it's Soiser also the Naziris that he already counted before his son was birthed, the other Naziris. Shlakish Amar in a Soiser, Shlakish said it's not Soiser his own Naziris, it's only the Soiser the Naziris that is in the middle now with his benoi. Zakting said the machlekes Rabbi Yochanan or Shlakish. Zakting Mara, what's pshat? What's the svar of machlekes Rabbi Yochanan or Shlakish? Rabbi Yochanan Amar Soiser also his own Naziris. Why? Because Chad and Naziris are richtig. He holds that both of the Naziris have a din like one long Naziris, because he's not megaleach until he finishes both the Naziris. So therefore, when he counts Naziris for his son, it's considered as if he's in the middle of one long Naziris, and if he's Tamei, it's Soiser entire Naziris. Rishlakish Amar Ein Soiser says not Soiser's own Naziris. Why? Because he holds that Naziris Didei L'chud V'Debrei L'chud. He holds his own Naziris that he started before someone was born is one thing, and the one for his son is on another cheshbon. Zok the Gemara Vayter. The Gemara is going to bring another machlokes Rabbi Yochanan or Shlakish. In the case where a Nazir that it was a Metzora in the middle of his Naziris. So the halacha is that the days that he's a Metzora does not count for the days of Naziris. So there's machlekes, what's the din if Nitma Metzorate? What happens is taka in the middle of the days of his Tzaras, his Metzora, and he was Metam Lamesim. So Rabbi Yochanan Amar Soiser, it's Soiser the whole Naziris. Shlakish Amar Ein Soiser. It says it's not Soiser. So like tomorrow, what's machlekes? Because Rabbi Yochanan Amar Soiser Dam Naziris Kari. It's Soiser Naziris because he's in the middle of a Naziris. Shlakish Amar Ein Soiser. It's not Soiser Naziris because the days of Tzaras do not count towards the days of Naziris. So therefore, is much from them that the Tzaras is separate, and then from the Naziris, and it's two different things. And now, at the time that he was Metame, he became Tamei, that was the days of Tzaras. It wasn't the days of his Naziris. So it kind of seems Rish Lakish or Rabbi Yochanan L'Shitasam, for what we just saw the first machlekes. So Zak the Gemara Tzricha. We need the Gemara has to tell us these two machlekes in Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish, Sai Legabe Naziris and Sai Legabe Tzaras. Sai Legabe, the case where he's Mekabel two Naziris, one for his own, one for Benoi, with the first machlekes Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish, and the second one Legabe when Tzaras, his days of Tzaras come in the middle. If you tell me the first one, in the case where he has his own Naziris and Benoi, so I would say Dafka Bahi Amar Rabbi Yochanan Soiser. Over there Rabbi Yochanan says that it's Soiser. Why? Koshem Naziris Achasi. Because all these days Rabbi Yochanan holds has one Shem Echad Naziris. It's all one din of Naziris. Maybe he counted it's two separate Kabbalas, but it all has one Shem Naziris. So Mela makes sense to say that Naziris Arucha. So if he becomes Tamei and it's Soiser, if it's Soiser that Naziris, it's Soiser the whole thing. Al Bahal, the guy with the days where he has Tzaras, it becomes a Metzora, Ema, Moedele Rish Lakish, that it's not Soiser. The Nazir L'chud, the Tzaras L'chud, because it's two different things, not even the same thing. One's Tzaras and one's Nazir. V'i Itmar, and if you only say the machlokes in the case where he becomes Tamei Meitzaratoi, then I would say B'hakam Rish Lakish that it's not Soiser because Naziris L'chud and Tzaras L'chud. Al Bahach, but in the case of Nazirus Soy and Naziris Benoi, I would say even Moedele Rabbi Yochanan that it's Soiser even his own Naziris because it's one Shem Naziris. So in Mela Tzricha, we have to come tell you that machlokes Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish is by both of these cases. Zak the Gemara weiter. Nitba b'yoyim gidol sar. So the Gemara wants to know like this: Nitba b'yoyim gidol sar. If he was waiting for his hair to grow, and let's say he was at the end of the 30 days, and he became Tamei. So Rav Amar Ein Soiser. Okay, no. So this is it's really different than a regular Naziris, because the scenario over here is that a guy is Makabo Nazir Shloshim Yoyim, and in the middle, let's say someone forced him to take a haircut. Listim came and they cut off his hair. So what's the halacha? The halacha then is that he has to count a new Shloshim Yoyim, because he has to be able to be Megaleach on his Naziris. It's not enough that he just has 30 days. So if somebody forcefully cut his hair, if Listim forcefully cut his hair, he has to wait 30 days and then he could cut his hair. So the Gemara wants to know, Nitviyam Gidol Sar, what happens if he's doing those 30 days, he's just waiting for Gidol Sar, and then he became Tamei. So the Shaila is it Soiser his Azirus or not? So it's an interesting machlek. Is Rav Amar in Soiser, it's not Soiser because of this Tama. Why? Because he's only doing these 30 days to try to grow his hair. It has nothing to do with the Nazirus. And Zakta Gemara, even according to Shitz Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yochanan Amar that said before, that if he's counting his own Naziris and Naziris Binoi, and he's Nitma in the middle of the days of his son, then it's Saiser the whole Naziris because one Shem Naziris. So that Rabbi Yochanan would agree over here that it's not Saiser. Why? Because Hani Mili, when does Rabbi Yochanan says Alacha Heche Dekoyim Naziris, if he's in the middle of Naziris, but if it's just for Gidol Seyar, then it's not Saiser. Because Mishlam Naziris too. The only thing he's doing is only trying to be Mashlam Naziris that he was ready in Kabul. And he's only adding on 30 days just to have Gidol Sa. It's only for him to grow his hair so he could actually be Mekayim Teglachas Nazir. But it's not really that he's trying to be Mekayim Nazir. His Naziris already did his 30 days in Naziris. So that sheet is Rav. Shmuel Amar, Shmuel says, Saiser. It is Saiser that he made Naziris. Afilu Rish Lakish to Amar, that if he's, even the Rish Lakish that we had before, it says that if his Nitman be made Benoi, it's not Saiser Naziris. Rish Lakish would still agree because Hassam Shtei Naziris. Over there, it's two Naziris, and it's one for himself and one for his son, and they're separate. So therefore, when he becomes Tamei for his son, it's not his own Naziris. But Hacha Chad Naziris. Over here, it's all one Naziris. Even the days Yemei Gidol Sar, it's shaykh to the first Naziris. It's not a separate thing. Happens to be, it's being mashlam because somebody forcefully cut off his hair. But it's still going for those days in Naziris. It's not a separate Naziris. So that's Shita Shmuel, that it is Saiser, even going to Shlakish. Zok the Hilig Gemara Vaita, Amar of Chizda. So in the Gemara, this discussion, the Gemara is going to discuss what's the halacha when somebody brings karbanos at the end of his naziris and then becomes tabis. So Amar of Chizda, Hakol Moedim, Rav and Shmuel agree, Shem Kiddush Seir Badam, that if he becomes tamei after the dam was stripped for his karbanos, before Giluach, before he did the actual Giluach, halacha is Elin Takana. There is no fix for the situation, and he will remain in his Nazir La'ilam, because since he wasn't Megaleach his hair yet, he still has all the Isuri Nazir on himself. So he's basically stuck, because he can't bring his Karbanas again, because it was Nitma, the Dam, and the whole thing, so he can't cut his hair, all Isuri Nazir blind on him. So apparently in Isuri Nazir, a Tully, it's all Tully, he has to get the Taglachas done. So Zakni Gemara Liba the man. Lefi who is this going like this halacha that we just said? Liba the Rebbe Lezer. If it's going like Shitas Rebbe Lezer later on, Daf Mem Zayin Amud Aleph in Mesechus Nazir, that holds that as long as a Nazir is not Mekayim Mitzvahs Taglachas at the end of his years, he still has all Yisur Nazir in him. So Ibizay Shver came into Amar, since Rebbe Lezer says Taglachas Ma'keves. Since it's Ma'keves, Toich Meloisi. So according to Rebbe Lezer's Shita, Taglachas Ma'akev from a Nazir from finishing his Aziris. So to be Sais or Shiva, let it just be that because apparently the Gemara says later on in Mem Zayin, the Sigya, as Machloikas Rebbe Lezer the Chachamim, that the Gemara says that Rebbe Lezer doesn't mean that it's soiser the days that he already counts for Naziris. Rather, it just means that he can't. It's soiser all the whole process for karbanos, even if he already brought some of them. And the halacha is that he has to wait 7 days, and then after 7 days he could bring them all again. So, frak the Gemara, if this halacha that we just spoke about is aliba de Lezer, let it be soiser shiva, let him wait 7 days, and then bring all his karbanos, and then he should be able to be megaleach. Why is it ain't takana? Ela zak the Gemara aliba de Rabbanan. It's going to go if he sees chachamim. That holds that the Nazir brings karbanos is mutter in yayin and tuma even before he cuts his hair, even before taglachas. So obviously it's shver ha'amri taglachas le'ma'akevis. So Rabbanan hold that taglachas is not ma'akev, and over here and l'chayra over here, once he already did it over here, we're talking about there was already zrikas adam, so he was already mutter yayin and mutter tamin and taglachas is allowed to cut his hair. So how could we say that if he becomes tamei after zrikas adam, that is ain't like takana? It's not even a problem to become tamei after the zrikas dam. Rabbanan holds it's okay to be tamei. He could also drink wine and be megalech. Zak the Gemara lo olam ali Rabbanan. He's going to leave the Rabbanan. She's Rabbanan. My ain't takana. What does it mean? We said ain't takana. Ain't takana le mitzvahs geluach. That he can't be mekayim mitzvahs taglachas. However, he's mutter biyayin and tuma even without geluach. So it seems that he doesn't. Apparently, the Gemara means to say that he can't be mekayim the mitzvah taglachas, meaning there's no mitzvah taglachas. But it doesn't seem to be like he can't ever cut his hair. It's just that the mitzvah taglachas doesn't apply to him in this case. That's what it seems like. Zak the Gemara weiter. Amar Rabbi Yosef b'Chanina. Rabbi Yosef b'Chanina says, Nazir shakal l'yamav. A Nazir that finished counting all his days in Naziris, but he did not bring his karbanos yet. And he became tamei b'mezid. The halacha is loika al tama. He gets malchus on the tama, and if he cuts his hair or drinks yain b'mezid, ain't a loika al taglachas v'lo yain. However, legabe drinking wine and cutting his hair, he does not get malchus on. The Karen Oira mentions that he doesn't get malchus, but there's still iser. Talking about Maishna, why? How come by tuma delaki from the other surim yain and giluach? Why is there no malchus there? But the Gemara, the Amar Kra Kol Yemei Hazir El Hashem says al nefesh meis la'yavai, and the lashon and the word Kol Yemei Hazir El Hashem is coming the Rabbis Yom Shalacham Alois. It's coming to tell you that after he's mashal and naziris, it has a din kiyamim shalafnei Alois. That even if he's metame after the days are already complete, he still got malchus, just as if like before the days were completed. We got malchus, he would continue getting the malchus. So specifically, there's a ribui call to tell you that call zero shem on nefesh misl yavel gabitoma. So fracting mari hachet taglachas nam lechayev. Let him also be chayev if he cuts his hair malchus after it finishes days and years. The Amar Achmana Torah says. But Midbar Parak Vav Pasuk, it says Kol Yimei Neder Nizroi Tar Le'Av Al Roshi. Like Abba Taglachas also says the word Kol. So darshan from the word Kol, Las Yam Shalacham Alois, Yam Shalim Alois, just like it said Legabi Tuma. Vesufrek the Gemara Nochakasho. The also Legabi Dinim Yayin, you should say that because it says But Midbar Parak Vav Pasuk Dal Kol Yimei Nizroi Kol Ashi also Migefna Yayin. Mechartzanamat Zog LeYoichal Shteit Oichet Kol. So say Las Yam Shalacham Alois, Ki Yam Shalim Alois. So Legabi Yayin and Taglachas, for the Gemara, say the same drasha. You have the same word in the pasuk. Because the Gemara, Shani Hacha, it's different. The din of Tuma from the other Isurim. The Amar Achmana, because the Torah says Legabi Nazir, Bamidbar Paravav pasuk Tes V'Timei Rosh Nizroi. Because it says specifically Legabi and Nazir. B'timei rosh nizroi, says mashmois of the pasuk is that the iser tuma is also in somebody that the zir is talale b'rosh, meaning to say that it's only on his head, meaning he didn't take a haircut yet. And that's the only thing that's remaining, meaning he already finished counting and made his ears. He's just waiting for taglachas. It's mashma that so that's when the Torah says. So the lashon the Torah says like abitoma v'timei rosh nizra, that even if it's only nizra totally b'rosh, still there's a dun tuma. The Torah says specifically like abitoma, not like the isra of yarin and taglachas. Frak the Gemara meisvei. Gemara is going to ask from a brayso. Nazir shkol yamav. He finished counting his 30 days. Also legalech. It's also like to megalech. Lishas yayim l'tam lamesim. Vim gilach v'shas yayim nitzal lamesim. Harei sesavik zabam. Straight clear in the brayso that he gets malchus. So you see, there's no difference between all the Yisurim, and by all of them is Allah Malchus. Shvar Rabbi Yosef Chanina that said that only by the Gabi Tumah is Din Malchus. And with the Gemara, Tuyafta, you're right, from the Bryce, Taka, Kivimatcha Rabbi Yosef Chanina's words. Taka Raya, not like Rabbi Yosef Chanina.